This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Police superintendent's image among several being used by cyber criminals. The police have stated that they are aware that unscrupulous people have been using the photographs and the names of several people on social media platforms to conduct illegal activities. Among the people perpetrators have used is Superintendent Hope Nicholson, whose name and photographs have been used to create fake pages on several platforms, including dating sites, the police stated. Reports are that victims believing that they are communicating with Superintendent Nicholson have been lured to various places across the corporate area, St. Catherine and St. Mary, where they are tricked, robbed, and in some instances sexually assaulted. Superintendent Nicholson has stated that the accounts in these criminal incidents do not belong to him and is cooperating with investigators as they probe the cases. The Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Investigations Branch stated that investigations into the issue of identity theft have commenced and are in collaboration with other detectives across the various divisions. So far, investigators have identified 11 people across 3 parishes who fell victim to these illegal activities, the police stated. Even as the probe intensifies, the police are appealing to citizens to be extremely vigilant when communicating with people online, especially those who they are meeting for the first time in the digital space. Police Bureau probes St. Mary man's claim of beating by cop. The Inspectorate and the Professional Standards Oversight Bureau has launched an investigation following claims made by 47-year-old O'Neill Williams of Rock River, St. Mary, that he was badly beaten by a district constable in the area. The probe comes after Williams related his ordeal to the news last week, detailing 3 separate and consecutive instances where a district constable, whom he referred to as D.C. Roberts, allegedly attacked him on the night of January 14 after he had a dispute with his cousin. At the end of the 3-part incident, Port Maria Hospital issued Williams an X-ray requisition for a skull or orbital X-ray. For clinical data, the requisition form from the hospital states post-altercation blow to the region. An investigator with iProbe told the news that the Bureau sprang to action after learning of the story in the news. "We always look out for these stuff. We have a hotline and everything." After Williams' story was brought to our attention, an iProbe team visited Richmond Police Station, where he was held after the incident. The whole point of the investigation is to be able to find Mr. Williams, which we have done, and get a statement from him to outline his grounds with what happened, the officer said. Williams told the news that iProbe officers visited his home on Monday. "They came and take some statements from me and say they are going to work on it. I am glad they came," he said. After learning of the situation through the news, Queen's Counsel Peter Champagny said Williams displayed an interest in him assisting him with such. Thereby, Champagny relayed his contact information to Williams and indicated that he was open to a discussion on how Williams could go forward. Meanwhile, head of the St. Mary Police Division, Superintendent Bobette Morgan Simpson, who had told the news that Williams gave a statement to the police at the Richmond Police Station, said that he had no interest in going any further with the matter, said he already gave away the right where we are concerned based on the statement that he wrote. She had suggested that he either take his grounds to INDECOM, the Independent Commission of Investigations, or iProbe. The iProbe officer said INDECOM is like our sister office. If he went to INDECOM, there is a 70% chance that it would have come back to our office because INDECOM really focuses more on the police shootings. Williams told the news that his main issue is that he is not able to read or write and was given something to sign while he was held at Richmond Police Station. He argued, however, that he never verbally expressed to any officer that he wasn't interested in going further with the case. Champagny argued that any statement Williams gave at the station was futile. You don't take that kind of statement when the person is in police custody. This is done when it goes to court or when he is in a sterile environment, he told the news. Regarding Williams' statement at the station, the iProbe officer told the news as an investigator that raised an alarm. Something suspicious is there. Negril Chamber says rumble strips helping to cut deadly speeding. The Negril Chamber of Commerce believes the controversial rumble strips on the Norman Manley Boulevard in Negril, Westmoreland, may be effective in reducing deadly speeding on the thoroughfare. Yesterday, motorists protested the erection of the strips, saying they are damaging the front end of their vehicles. But the president of the Negril Chamber, Richard Wallace, told the news that traffic lights, medians, and the pedestrian crossings have all failed in a bid to cut speeding on the thoroughfare. He also said the recent death of a security guard in a traffic crash caused by speeding highlights the need for an urgent response. In the past 18 months, there have been 10 serious crashes on the boulevard. The chamber has been advocating for the authorities to counter the speeding issue, but Wallace maintains that the group had no say in the decision to erect rumble strips. We were only informed a few days before that they are installing the rumble strips, said Wallace, in reference to the National Works Agency. The new strips were placed in front of major hotels in the resort town, a Soul Beach Resort and Rio. Dwight Smith, a tour operator, said the rumble strips could cause more crashes and tire damage. "At the first time I ever see so much break since me born," he claimed. The speed limit in the area is 50 kilometers per hour, but motorists often flout the rule. Criminals overseas arming thugs pumping huge sums into deadly feuds. The criminal underworld hidden beneath the busy St. Andrew North Police Division is a maze of wealth, bloodshed, and extortion, a melting pot of business owners, organized criminals, and their hybrids. Beneath the eye, investigators say a man locked away in a United States prison currently calls the shots on one of the division's deadliest ends in recent years, while two others living in Canada are reportedly pumping large sums and guns to gangsters on the other feuding corners. On a dozen other ends along Red Hills Road, criminals make a meal of business owners through what Deputy Commissioner Fitz Bailey last week alluded to as an economic ideology among criminals island-wide, a heightened, more involved form of extortion akin to terrorism. Then there are the networks involved in murder for hire, with members operating in the comforts and the confines of the division's posh apartments and feeding information to killers on the ground. Local law enforcement across the divisions, alongside international and regional partners such as the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and the Implementation Agency for Crime and the Security of the Caribbean Community, having been tracking such individuals locally and overseas, they aim to build airtight cases that facilitate speedy deportation and prosecution locally. But building such international cases takes time and effort, and while investigators toil, cops on the ground in St. Andrew North, for example, grapple with their deadly seeds as they try to tame local shot callers, complicit businessmen, and hitmen killing for money in the space. It is only for residents to come forward with what they know and stand firm behind the statements in court. But in these parts, witnesses often turn up dead or missing in interconnected gang rivalries that see longtime friends kill each other. Year to date, murder figures in the division have not risen in comparison to last year, though there has been a 100% increase in the number of shootings and at least 5 persons injured so far this year. We have only had 3 murders so far, knock on wood. And I can tell you this is not by luck, professed the Superintendent Aaron Fletcher, head of the division which houses warring factions spanning the length of Red Hills Road into Airy Castle in Stony Hill, St. Andrew. Our officers have really been putting in the work on the ground. Some historical conflicts, like those between 100 Lane and Park Lane, and their allies have morphed, and their tentacles are many. The 100 Sunrise Gang, those in the heated Plum Lane Collins Close, Aki Walk, the alliances formed and the spillovers in Grants Pen, and those that find resources as far as Ambrook Lane outside the division are on investigators' watch list. At least 2 of the 88 men recently listed as majorly wanted by the police, Jermaine Smith, aliases Cartel or Gaza Man, and Worm of Golden Spring Road, and Kemar Graham, who frequents Boone Hall, Arthur Leon Drive in Golden Spring, were named from St. Andrew North. Both were wanted for murder, but Bailey emphasized that the list was not exhaustive. St. Andrew North is a dynamic division, so you have the extremes, the crime-prone zones and unplanned communities, and then a stone's throw away you have the middle class, and a bit further you have the upper echelons of society, the rich, the influential, explained Fletcher, adding that while shootings and homicides are mostly concentrated in the Southern Belt communities, the profile of criminals and the crimes changes with an ascent into areas better off. House break-ins, larceny, and other accusatory crimes are among those featured in upscale communities like Norbrook, where sleuths have been probing Southern Belt gangsters and some from even outside the division and overseas who are buying properties in the area. Among the garrisons, however, is the Plum Lane and the Collins close rivalry, which has so far claimed the lives of 2 men this year, while a third murder was recorded in Cassava Peace, all stemming from conflict over illegal guns, said the superintendent. These rivalries have spilled over into neighboring communities such as Grants Pen and 100 and the Park Lanes, historical danger zones, and in areas even outside the division. These guys living overseas, they have financial means, noted Fletcher. They will direct how things go. They are the ones who determine who should die or not die, who should get which weapon or not. They are the ones who send the guns and, in many instances, buy the apartments and the high-end vehicles, he told the news. They are deemed the undesirables based on the influence they bring to the upscale communities, he added. Some persons will leave it alone because of the fear of loss of life, but unfortunately so. We would rather they find some means of sharing the information. Information sharing, he said, is critical to building cases against the gangsters and also critical in aiding regional and international law enforcement efforts to track them and the weapons that they bring into the island across the borders. Police seized 39 illegal weapons, mostly pistols, and 2 rifles in the division last year. So far this year, they have seized only 1. Except for guns stolen from security guards and other licensed firearm holders, most had registration intact and most originated from the U.S. Fletcher's argument for greater information sharing echoed those among members of Impact which have been clamoring regionally for an expanded memorandum of intent to facilitate greater information sharing between law enforcement in the region and the government of the United States. Such improved partnerships would greatly aid efforts to clamp down on arms smugglers, the majority of their guns originating in the United States. It would also greatly highlight air and sea vessels implicated in the illicit trade, better enabling identification and scrutiny from Border Patrol. In its report, the ATF lists the tampering of serial numbers on illegal weapons found in Jamaica among the difficulties for tracing them. It is unclear whether those found buried in Stadium East, for example, had visible registration details DCP Bailey kept close to his chest last week. Bailey also would not divulge how many vessels and shipping companies the police have red-flagged for the smuggling of illegal weapons into the island, nor how many weapons were sent to ATF for tracing last year. We can't go into these issues. I wish not to comment on that, responded Bailey to questions posed by the news. In the meantime, days after excavating a cache of 10 guns in and around the Stadium East premises, its operators, Independence Park Limited, announced Friday that the premises had reopened for regular activities. 8 of the weapons were found on the Stadium East grounds and another 2 on its perimeter. One man, owner of the building material under which the 2 guns were found outside the premises, was arrested. On Thursday, Major Desmond Brown, general manager of Independence Park Limited, played down suggestions of the company or its employees' involvement in the major weapon haul. He said, however, that he awaits such deliberations from the police. This is a 50-odd acre property. You cannot secure the whole property. Yes, we are going to have to improve it in some ways, and that's why we are waiting on the recommendations from the police to see what we can do, he noted. When do you think those guns were hidden? Do you think it was in broad daylight? I don't think so, and what I am saying is that we will have to review our security. I cannot mention what we are going to do until we hear from the police. It is just difficult to secure 50-odd acres, he said. Stadium East only comes in as a warm-up area when we have international track meets, so I don't think this is going to affect it anyway, Brown responded to questions of the implications of the guns found on the future of business and the hosting of international events. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.